Live from WBFF in Baltimore, this is Fox 45 Morning News.
As 2021 comes to an end, we are looking back at the best sports moments, or the moments that even were. Sports agent and founder of DLE Agency and Achilles PR, Doug Eldridge, joining us live to weigh in on the top 4 stories that shaped the year. Doug, good morning. Happy New Year's Eve.
Hey, good morning and happy New Year's Eve.
We have a lot to talk about. Let's start all the way back. Remember the MLB All-Star Game? Let's start there and how that was impacted.
Well, what a way to start the year, right? In April, MLB made the controversial announcement that they were going to be moving the All-Star Game from Atlanta in Georgia to Denver. Now, the reason for it was the controversial passage of a voting rights bill.
Right.
Now, critics said that that did not impact our fringe voting capabilities, but MLB came out and said that it was not in line with its values. Now, the big loser were the small businesses across the Atlanta region, which lost an estimated $100 million.
Wow.
But Atlanta as a city had the last laugh because the World Series came back and the Braves won the pennant.
See, sports have a way of coming full circle. And you know, Doug, something that you and I have talked a lot about over the last year is athletes standing up for mental health. I think that really separates from 2020 to 2021.
Certainly, and we really saw that step up and step out this year in a big way. Starting with Naomi Osaka, who had a lot of pressure surrounding her in the build-up and at the actual day of when it came to the Grand Slams, not necessarily on court, but in the court of public opinion, in the form of her media obligations, etc. And she finally spoke out and said, listen, this has hit a breaking point. I'm no longer going to engage in this. Here's what I'm willing to do moving forward. And she had an outspray of support saying, hey, listen, like the old Us Weekly, stars are just like us. Athletes are just like us. They succumb to the same pressures and the same penalties that we do as humans. And of course, we saw it on the global stage with Simone Biles. So many people thought that it was a physical injury, but in fact, it was the mental weight that she had been carrying for a variety of reasons in the run-up to Tokyo. So in so many ways, that was one of the best things that could have happened for the mainstream America, the meat of the bell curve, us average Americans who suffer under the weight of mental health issues and anxiety and stress and depression, to have these prominent athletes speak up and say, we battle the same things.
Doug, thinking about Olympic athletes, we had an Olympic-sized controversy. Let's talk about it.
Hugely, right? We had Tokyo, in the face of COVID, delayed by a year, which was unprecedented by any measure. Those critics who still said it shouldn't have gone off. And now we have 2 that are butting up against each other. Right. We often think of Olympics every 4 years, but the reality is they're every 2 with summer, winter. But now they're only 1 year apart, and arguably heading into an even greater controversy with Beijing and the consistent human rights issues surrounding China. Now, we could have added this list. Enes Kanter, now Enes Freedom, the Boston Celtics center, who's taken a prominent stance, a very vocal stance against China and the NBA and Nike in terms of their, submissive, subversive partnership with China, irrespective of China's human rights issues. Mm-hmm. So once again, what have we seen? We've seen voting, we've seen mental health, we've seen human rights issues. We could talk about Carl Nassib, the first openly gay active roster player in NFL history, a league that's been around over 100 years. There's no shortage of stories that stand at the intersection of sport and culture and politics and public relations and kitchen table issues. I've been so fortunate to talk with you guys over the years, and especially you, Megan, about these issues that are kitchen table family topics, front page stories that are simply told through the lens of sports.
And in the midst of a pandemic, nonetheless. Doug, thank you so much. Happy New Year to you and your family.
Happy New Year.
Thank you.